how to do. Hurt all the way down the ends of my fingers. Doing something that I didn't know how to do seemed to be the only way to go about things anymore. Seemed complete. So far from perfect as to be almost totally without satisfaction, and yet there was an appeal to it. There was kind of an okay feeling about it. Doing something that I didn't know how to do seemed to be one of the only ways to get around the problem of not doing anything at all, because it seemed like there seemed to be so few things that I didn't know how to do anymore that so just reaching down and trying to do something with your fingers that you didn't know how to do seemed like a pretty good idea at the time. Doing something that I did know how to do, I mean, there was a certain kind of arrogance in that. I mean, doing something that I didn't know how to do is the kind of thing you would do that every day. Doing something that you did know how to do, it's the kind of thing that you could do over and over and over again until you no longer realized that you were doing it at all. Doing something that you did know how to do was a lot like, well, it was just a lot like taking a shit. Now, you know how to do that. You do it, you do it, you do it, you do it, you do it. Well, doing something that I didn't know how to do, there's a virtue in that. You don't want to get too self-congratulatory, but there's a certain kind of virtue in that, isn't there? There's a certain kind of virtue in that. Doing something that you don't know how to do. And, well, your fingers hurt, but you keep trying. And there's a certain kind of virtue in your fingers hurting. There's a certain kind of virtue in your fingers hurting that nobody can deny. There's a certain kind of virtue in your fingers hurting that is for you and for you alone to experience. It's a very private kind of virtue. It's not a public kind of virtue. But when your fingers hurt, there's a very private kind of virtue in that you could prove. You could really prove it physically. It's a really public kind of virtue. It's a feeling like a statue in the park. It's a really public kind of virtue with pigeons all over it. The thing that I experienced with you was such a public kind of virtue. It was like civic pride. My love for you was like civic pride. Everything. Everyone told us how nice it was.